Side Scrollers is brought to you by you. If you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/sidescrollers. It's time for Side Scrollers on YouTube.com with me, Stuttering Craig. I like movies that have sand in them. Wow.
He doesn't like it in his mouth.
And producer extraordinaire, Travis Key.
I don't like the texture in my mouth.
What? And brought to you by you, the G2 community at patreon.com/sidescrollers. And now, broadcasting from our homes, it's time for the number one gaming and entertainment podcast on planet Earth. It's time for Side Scrollers.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, welcome on out to Side Scrollers on YouTube.com and Rumble.com and Twitch.tv. We're still not signing that terms of service, Twitch. You really don't care. Happy Monday to you. Are you having a great day? Are you having a good week? It's a good start of the week, man. We're going to have an awesome one here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Central Time, here on this wonderful outlet, wherever it is you're watching us. Good to see everybody. Oh, man. Look, we're going to have a fun one today. All right? Before I introduce Travis, because listen, Travis doesn't look anything like he did before. Last time you saw him on Friday, just a changed man. Because if you recall, last Friday, we hit our membership goal on YouTube. And we said, hey, if we hit that membership goal, we're going to just ferment our beers. And Travis, this sly son of a gun, is looking so sexy. Introducing Travis Keys. Look at him. Look at him. Look at that beard.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, Travis. How are you?
28.
You do look 28. So you may be asking yourself, hey, Craig, what's up? Why haven't you done it? Well, today, gentle viewer, I will be doing it during the show. The Just for Men is out. Never done this before. I'm excited to do this today. Look at it. Look at it. Today, during the show, I'll be just fermenting my beer. It's something I've never done before. I'm a big believer in embracing your age, right? But I thought this would be fun because I've never, I don't even know if I've ever actually had like a dark goatee before. Or whatever.
I had to do it twice, by because it wouldn't die dark. I'm like, oh shit, okay, let's do it again. My dog's looking at me like I was crazy.
you guys notice I have my wife's makeup mirror here in the background. I'm going to be doing it live, and I'm going to do the grand reveal in a little bit after I do. It says it only takes 5 minutes, but I'll tell you what. Someone who doesn't have to worry about putting color in their facial hair. It's Desiree. Hello, Desiree. How are you?
Not my facial hair, but on my actual hair, which, by the way, I tweeted this out. I don't know if y'all saw, but I have a gray, like a white streak, actually, that goes right here normally.
Yeah.
And I finally, it's gone. It's gone. I just dyed it only a couple days ago.
Are you like self-conscious about it?
No, not really. I mean, well, I don't like it when I pull my hair back. It got so long that you can kind of see it a little bit. And it was annoying me on my stream because it looked like from a distance, it looked like just a gap in my hair. My fiance loves it. He thinks it's looks cool, like Rogue. But no, I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready to embrace that. But I actually got it when I was 20. I was really young. So it's not really an age thing. It's just in this one spot.
You know what?
But anyway, I just dyed that. So that's funny.
My hair started turning gray around 20 as well. And it was one gray spot too. Yeah. Which is very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a birthmark on my head back here. And I've had a gray spot since I was probably 10, 11. I don't know, whatever. So it's always just a tiny little spot back here. but now the gray has expanded over the years. So tell you what, a guy who doesn't need to worry about gray, because good Lord, look at the color on this guy's beard. We are joined today by Shagsworth. Hello, buddy.
What's going on, everybody? Great to see you again. I love this show. I'm always amazed to get the message from Trav saying, hey, come back and hang with us. And we got great stories to talk about. I can't wait to disappoint everyone in the chat with my own takes. So great to be here, guys.
Well, you never disappoint us with your beard. I mean, that's just like, golly, that is impressive.
That's why God put me on this earth, to just bring the best facial hair possible.
I think you're top fiver.
Thanks.
Pretty damn good. I'll tell you what, you and Beardo may have to fight it out. Maybe a beard fight, perhaps.
Maybe. I always say that Beardo has like the best like manicured beard, and I have the best natural beard because I don't really do anything to mine, like besides like go like this in the morning. But I know Beardo spends a lot of time on his beard, and it looks great. But we are just two different men, but we just kind of complete the whole beard circle.
See, his is like kind of on steroids. You're like the natty, you know?
Exactly.
Right.
That's it.
You got you're the Barry Bonds. You're the MVP before you went on the juice, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Beardo's socking them 73 homers or whatever it was. Nice. All right, we got a lot to talk about today, including Hollywood going Hollywood and just the absolute just pathetic nature of that, which should be fun. We're going to get to that very early. Gearbox, major company, potentially being sold again, second time in 2 years in a $1 billion deal. Starfield, the controversy continues as it ramped up over the weekend again, I guess, as the mods have been made and they have been removed, which we're definitely going to talk about that. But it hasn't stopped it because it's going crazy. The game is selling like hotcakes, of course. So we're also going to be talking about playing video games with your brain. There's a streamer out there doing it. We're going to be taking a look and really overanalyzing her unique ability to kill Halo soldiers with her noggin. So it should be good. All that, and once again, I will be coloring my beard, my facial hair live on stream today with this tiny little just for men 1 day beard and brow color. Should I do the brows too? I don't think the brows really need it. I think the brows are fine.
Don't do that.
Yeah. I was talking about going like Steven Seagal on it and just being like ridiculously black and but
hey, you're gonna do this live, and I have a feeling that your skin's gonna end up being a different color because your beard's so short. It's gonna be hard for you to get it on the hair without getting it on your skin.
Yeah, you're probably right, but that's okay. That's part of the fun. That's part of the fun. That's what we're doing here today.
Hey, my chin's a little a little dye.
You got a little excess color there. I'm sure it'll wash out over time. No big deal, right? But yeah, okay. Well, I'll tell you what. So since we got Desiree here, Desiree, tell everybody where they can find you as always. I know you can find you on Kick. I'm
on YouTube and on Kick.
Nice.
Lady Desiree. On Kick, it's Lady Desiree, and on YouTube, it's Lady Desiree Piano.
Awesome. And Shags?
You can find me anywhere that there's a social network. It's generally at the Shagsworth. I stream on YouTube mostly. I've been turning my Twitch stream back on again just because it's easy. I'm also on Kick occasionally as well. But mainly you can find me on YouTube, and then all of my crazy rants on Twitter or X, whatever you refer to it as. But
X.
Yep.
Nice. Well, make sure you guys go and find both of them. Of course, you can find us over on Rumble at rumble.com/sidescrollers, as well as Twitter at sidescrollerpod and Instagram at sidescrollerspodcast. I wish we could all sync up all of our social accounts, but some asshat took sidescrollers, and it's been there for it's hard to get that stuff. It's a simple, cool name. Do us a favor. We always have a goal of 300 likes every single episode. So do us a favor, hit the thumbs up button. Wherever you're tuning in, we'd greatly appreciate that. Right now, sitting at a cool 47 over on YouTube. Let's get those rookie numbers up. Let's see. If you haven't yet, go watch the interview with Salty Cracker from this past Thursday. Really fun interview. And then this Thursday, I'm going to be interviewing Rageaholic, also known as Razor Fist. Should be fun and a little one-on-one fun time. So we're gonna have a great week. Lots going on, lots to talk about, lots of great guests. As Blabs is still hanging out in the land down under in Australia, and she'll be back sometime next week. So, no timetable, just whenever she wants to come back. We would be remiss, real quick, just to mention that it is 9/11, and it's 22 years ago today. I think everybody remembers where they were. So, obviously, just something, just a quick, nod, knowing that I think it's a day that shaped everybody in a major way, and that. When I talk to my kids, I let them know that the world is different than when I grew up in it. And I'm sure there'll be some sort of event that happens for them when they grow up that they'll be able to say the same. I mean, hopefully not, but I'm sure that's
a
bound to happen.
positive thing.
What's that?
I said, hopefully it's a positive thing.
Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully. Just real quick, you guys want to give 2 sentences on kind of what you were doing on 22 years ago?
Ladies first, I think. But
Desiree, fire away.
Well, I will go first then. No,
okay,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. So I woke up. My mom told me that the plane had hit, and I was on my way actually to. I was already in college. I'm dating myself, but had just started, and I remember stopping at a gas station and the news was on, talking to the guys in the gas station, couldn't believe it, and got to my boyfriend's house because I think I was riding with him or something, and turned on the TV and we saw the second plane hit, and it was just totally surreal.
Yep. Our other lady, Travis?
I was either a freshman or a sophomore. I was a sophomore in high school, and I actually missed the bus. And I lived in a small town outside of town. So I had to call a cab, and it had happened while I was sitting there watching TV. And since my mom's a federal employee, she had to lock down the post office, and she called me and said, "Hey, I'm going to be stuck here for 24 hours because we're on lockdown and all that." And then I took a cab to school, and the school was locked down, and couldn't even get in, so I went home, and that was that.
Crazy. Shags?
Yeah, I was a sophomore at the time, and I remember the class I was in. I think it was it was like the very first year this class was offered. It was like a film class. It was really cool, like with the old IMAX. And I remember the teacher coming in and just being like, "Oh, the announcements came on and said, there's been an incident in New York City. The towers, a plane hit one of the towers," and then they turned it on, and it was like just as the second plane was hitting, and then it was just like on all day. It was, thinking back on it now, is a really weird thing to have on TV all day long, because at the time we had every single classroom had a TV in it, and then I remember watching the North Tower collapsing for the first time, like live on TV. It was the craziest thing ever.
Yeah, I was going to ask if any of you actually saw the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I for me, I was on my way to class in college, and I remember hearing. Remember exactly where I was. I don't think most people remember exactly where they were, who were there. I was listening on the radio, and the radio station was like, some wacky guy just flew a plane into the World Trade Center. How crazy is that? Oh my gosh. Then they thought it was like some little bit, some guy who just went on a prop plane. And, then over the next 20 minutes on my commute to school, it was like, oh shit, this is real. So I remember going to my first class, and, it's like everything stopped, and you knew you were witnessing something that was changing everything. And, man, did it change everything. So
you guys know I love to talk. I was speechless for a very long time, just sitting there in silence for very, very long time.
It was a lot, but obviously, I hate the term thoughts and prayers, but it's one of those things that I know that anybody who was there, it's one of those things that, I'm not gonna say haunts them, but they think about, especially when 9/11 comes around. And I say this, there have been many events in the course of U.S. history that people say, they say, "Oh, never forget these events." But I really feel it's important for us to have these conversations, especially with our children, to let them know the importance of things. Because, if you were to ask a college kid today, when Pearl Harbor was, they probably would have no idea when it was. But these are major events. So
yeah, there is one thing I want to bring up, and it kind of sounds political, but it's a non-political issue. The 9/11 first responders, they didn't get like their health care. They had to fight for it every time for them to get it renewed. It would kept coming up, and instead of just paying for it, it would come up every time in Congress. And these people would have to drive with cancer to Congress to go talk. Like one guy drove up there to talk about it and then died the next day.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
So like stuff like that, we need to not be political about and just pay for it.
Right.
Yep.
Extra Zero says, Fortnite says, Craig, your daughter's experienced 2020, the mess that came with it. I'd argue the world is already in a different place yet again. Oh, yeah, for sure. Now, to be clear, 2020, my daughters were 8 and 6 or 5, so the idea of they hadn't had enough experience to really understand what the world was like before 2020. And that's kind of what I meant by that. So, but either way, look, we got a lot to talk about anyways, just something I just wanted to kind of start the show talking about that. And now let's move on. We always have a goal of 20 memberships every single show. So let's see if we can hit that, start the week off strong, for the channel and continue to grow a little bit more every single day. So let's see if we can hit that goal today and continue our little streak with 20 gifted or 20 memberships period. If you're new to the channel, it's a great way to do it, whether you're watching over on Rumble or on YouTube, or even on the Twitter or on Twitch. So as Jeremy Wormy comes in, Jeremy, thank you so much. Says Shags has the third best beard on the internet. Beardo number 2, Gary number 1. Wow. Just say look at your thoughts on that, Shags. Clear disappointment.
I love Gary, but sorry, his beard does not compare to myself or Beardo. Beardo and I are in a tight race for number 1, and I would say Gary is somewhere in the top 10. But sorry, Dermy, you're wrong here, pal.
I'd throw Stat up there in the top 10.
Oh yeah, Stat. Do you guys know who Stat is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Stat's got a pretty good beard too. Yeah, it's a quality beard. He actually calls his audience Beardos, which is pretty good. Anyways, all right, let's get into it. It's time for my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everybody in the world's favorite segment. It's time for Hard News. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Adam. All right, hard news. This came down a few days ago on Friday. The Danny Masterson, the guy formerly from That 70s Show, you'd recognize him. He was sentenced to 30 years to life for doing some bad things that I don't even know if we can say the word on YouTube without getting flagged. But he did some bad things, and he was found guilty of bad stuff. So he got 30 years.
He got a
life.
Bundle of grapes, put it that way.
Yes. So pretty crazy. Hey, it is, he received the maximum aggregate penalty for his crimes, but he's 47 years old. And so, yeah, it was, bad stuff. He did bad stuff. He's paying the price for it, and he's going to spend pretty much the rest of his life in jail. 30 years. He'll be 77 by the time he gets out. And there's that. So
good for him.
Good for him.
Yeah.
What the hell? Oh, good for him getting locked up.
His due justice.
Okay, I was like, good for him. Like, it was kind of
good for him. He went out of his way to take pleasure in other people's misery in his life in very horrific ways. So good for him. He's getting what he deserves.
So Cyberchud says sentence is based on he said, she said, 30 years for rumors. Now, like I said, I don't know anything about the case. I'm just going based off of the headline. But what I do want to talk about is the response from his friends and families, and specifically Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, I believe is her name. Mila, is that right? Mila Kunis? Mm-hmm. Is that right? They're married, and they were asked to send letters to the judge in support of Danny Masterson and by his family. So after the ruling, they came out and they released a video. And I want to watch this video, and we're going to kind of respond to this. So here is their response after the verdict has been released from Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis.
We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
Just for the record, does it not just sound like this is the most scripted thing you've ever heard in your life?
It's clearly written by a PR and a lawyer person, and I would take them more seriously had they just spoke from the heart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what there is to be sued about, but
well, if they make a statement and don't say specific words, those people who were whatever the word is could sue them for defamation. You know what I mean?
Well, let's just go continue.
The jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or reach homicize them in any way. We would never want to do that. And we're sorry if that has taken place.
Our heart goes out to every single person who's ever been a victim of sexual assault, sexual abuse, or rape.
Okay. So there's the video, clearly prepared. I think my issue with this is that they were asked to create, they have nothing to apologize for, right? They knew this guy for 25 years, and unless they knew he was going out there doing these things, they have nothing to apologize for. It's not like this guy was going out and they're like, hey, look at Danny over there doing horrible things. Ha 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 ha. They were talking about the person that they knew, the person that was presented in front of them. So I don't think this was wildly unnecessary.
I agree. I think they're afraid of getting canceled, and it's a character letter or character witness for a reason. You're supposed to give the character of that person that you know. You know what I'm saying? That's why they ask family members and all that. What do you know of this person? Clearly, they wouldn't give a character letter if they were going to say, yeah, he's going around doing this all the time. You know what I mean? So it makes sense. And it was, let's clarify, it was his wife that asked. So like if somebody's wife and you know their kids and all that, and you know them as a good dad with this stuff on the other side, what do you say? No?
Desiree, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I mean, it's hard to say when you don't really know exactly what happened, you know? I definitely don't think they need to apologize for anything. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I'm trying to read some of the checks. I don't know a lot about this case. And so I have such little faith. I think I've said this on the stream before. I have such little faith in the judicial system. So I tend to be very, very jaded. And that colors my perspective a lot. And I might not always be right. So I don't know. I mean, I could definitely see like have they said anything about him feeling like that he was innocent, or is it just, or do they feel like he was guilty and they're still trying to were they trying to lessen the sentence?
I believe it was they were asking for leniency is what it was. Is
like on what grounds? They think he's like psychologically disturbed. I mean,
well,
or they think he didn't do it? Because I just feel like did he do it or did he not do it? You know what I mean?
Well, it was proven in court that he did do it, but it's
proven in court is what doesn't mean a lot to me.
It's my it's my understanding that they asked for character letters of people who know him as a good person so they can say, look, he's a good dad. He's a good role model this way. He does this, so that a judge can take everything into account, not just what's heard in court about all the bad things.
I don't know. See, I just feel like, I mean, if you rape, what, can I say it, or are you not allowed to say that?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. I mean, if you do that, I don't really care if you're out there doing charity work. Like, to me that it doesn't make much sense. So I'm wondering, like, do they actually think that maybe he was innocent and maybe his family, you know, and they're like, well, this is the verdict, but we still want to lessen it because, you know, and I don't know. Anyway, I don't have an opinion on them writing a letter at all. I don't think they need to apologize at all for anything.
Shags?
Yeah, I think well, it's a product of the times we live in, where if you're associated with a person, you need to get in front of that real fast, because people will like, oh, you were complacent in this guy's, you know, his actions, and you know, meanwhile they're just like, we're just teenagers making a show, you know. And I think I'm with Desiree on this. Like, I don't have a lot of faith in the judicial system, and something that the chat said earlier, Super Chud, I think his name was, it's like, I didn't follow this case, but one of the issues I have is when we convict people based on things that someone said, you know, 20 years ago, or may have allegedly done 20 years ago, because then it becomes hard to like did this actually happen? You know, I don't know. It's such a sticky thing to get into, but I don't know. I don't know. It's been so long since all this happened. If he did do it, obviously I want justice. Like, it's a horrible thing to do. And I agree with Desiree as well. Like, I don't know, like, just because he was a nice guy to his kids, like, if he's capable of doing something like that, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But yeah, it sounded like that letter was just mainly to like, hey, take this into consideration because the guy we knew was really good. And hopefully that would lessen the sentence. Didn't look like it made any difference at all. He got the maximum. So
I think what's interesting about this is the court letters that the letters that they sent to the court were leaked. How the hell does that happen? Right? These are court documents that are meant to be just for the judge, and they were leaked on Friday, which is what they were responding to. Here's the story themselves, and it was.
I don't know, but if I was that judge, I'd be finding out who the fuck leaked it and putting them in prison.
Right. So they're published by journalist Megan Cuniff. And you can see they said like in the article, it says this is Kutcher wrote in his letter, says, over the 25-year relationship, I don't ever recall him lying to me. While I'm aware that the judgment has been cast as guilty on counts of 2 rapes by force, and the victims have a great desire for justice, I hope that my testament to his character is taken into consideration in sentencing. And
I want to clarify 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody wrote character letters except Topher Grace, the guy who played Eric Foreman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember, everybody got on his ass because he didn't like hanging out with the cast. That says something to me. There's a reason he didn't like hanging out with them people, and I think it was probably their behavior. But that's just my opinion. The second thing is that when I think you guys are both right. I think when it's something like this, that's so long ago, it's hard to determine what the truth is. But when it's multiple people saying the same things that don't know each other, you know what I'm saying? He did this to me, and it's the same thing somebody else said. Then I think it kind of puts a little more truth to what they're saying. You know what I'm saying?
I think the biggest thing with this story, like I said, if somebody does the crime, man, fucking fry them. Like, let them do the time, right? I think that in particular, any sort of sexual assault, any sort of that's really messed up, and they should act like, especially as the father of 2 girls, right? Like, this is terrifying to me. You hear about, you know, young women being, or just women in general being the victim of you know, sexual assault. And like, that's terrifying to me. And I have zero empathy towards the people who do these crimes.
I forgot the other thing I was going to clarify. One of the great victims, she said that after Danny Masterson had groped her, he was on speakerphone with Ashton Kutcher, and Ashton Kutcher was telling him how to cover it up. So keep that in mind. Wow. She posted that on Twitter.
Yikes.
But that's also a he said, she said, right?
Yeah.
Right.
There's
but
no proof of that.
This is one of the people who supposedly he did it to. So I mean, it's been proven guilty. Supposedly, I mean,
right.
Can I say something that I see in chat that I it is really frustrating. After the abuse of Me Too, I don't believe anything anymore. This is my biggest problem with the Me Too stuff is like, this is what's happened. This has been a product. When somebody says they feel, when they put like getting rubbed up against in a bar at the same level as getting, you know, the R word, like this is what happens. It drives me insane. You know, like I understand like crap happens and it's annoying, but it's like, do not put those two things on the same level, you know? And it's been such a disservice to women.
Unless it's
And-
an aggravated thing. Like they keep doing it over. Like if you're at the bar, they rub up against you, you say stop, and then they keep doing it over and
Well,
over.
I'm
You know
not
what
saying
saying?
that's still not an awful thing, but that's still
Right,
not as
but it's not.
traumatic as
Right.
some other stuff. You know, like you can have varying levels of evil.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, there's also a problem too. Is like, so my mom worked in law enforcement for 20 years, and you know, and just even looking into law enforcement in general, like one of the problems with the justice system is a thing called stacking, where they'll take multiple charges. They'll just like kind of variations of the same thing, and stack those on top of each other, and then what they do is they just kind of whittle away at them, and then beyond that, like one of the things with this category of crime in which we're talking about, with the hard R, if you will, is that there is varying degrees of it. And what happens a lot of times, so for one example, someone I knew in high school that's like on the registry, but so they're ruined for a long time. I don't know if you ever come off of that, but what happened is like they left a dirty magazine out, and well, for some kid that they were watching. Now it's not good, right? But it's not the same as what people might be labeling as. So it's this is never easy. And now that we're in this age of the internet where you can find stuff out like that and just make up what you want and spread what you want, and this is why the thing got leaked about the letters, is because someone wants their 15 minutes of fame and exposing a celebrity for just doing what was asked of them. Like, hey, I didn't say that they're innocent. I'm just saying they're nice people, or he was a nice guy that I knew. That what he did was awful. You know what I mean? Like there's so many facets to what's wrong with all of this stuff nowadays. And I don't know if we ever really come out of it. The internet broke people.
Oh,
Do you guys think that Me Too, what we were just talking about, the Me Too stuff, is very similar and kind of the same symptom of a societal issue of cancel culture as well? Like, you didn't say this, so clearly you support this, you're canceled. You know what I'm saying? You need to do this, otherwise you're for this.
right.
Your silence is apparently now that's you're complicit.
Right. And what you see is overcorrections, right? There's look, the stuff that you've seen in Hollywood with Weinstein and all this stuff, it's horrible stuff, right? But you see the reaction, whether it's, you could take this down to the micro level, down to the local school level. Like you see this all the time where something happens. So there's an overreaction here where the reaction probably should have been somewhere in the middle, right? But the overreaction then turns off, in this case, talking about like the Me Too stuff. There's people who say like, the believe all women stuff, right? And that's a very big blanket statement.
Some women are
just
crazy.
believe everybody. What's right? Well, right.
Some
right.
women are crazy,
So
but so are some men. But I'm just saying.
But it just goes back to the origin of this story, of the idea like they have to apologize for writing a letter about the person that they knew, right? Yeah. It's not like now if Ashton Kutcher was there and he was like, yo, this is how you cover it up, that's fucked up, right? That's totally fucked up. But if they just knew this guy who they hung out with and he was a good dude and he wasn't like talking about this, gave no indication, they should not have to apologize to him for that. But I do want the caveat that if they were associated with it, okay, that's where things are really messed up. Desiree, I'm sorry, you were going to say something?
I'm not sure what I was going to say, but I agree with Magnificent Devil, who just said false accusations should receive the penalty of the crime they accuse someone of. Like that's I mean, it is something that makes me so mad that people can get away with just, there are some really crazy people out there. And I have personal experience with some really crazy people. And like, before I had this experience, I thought this stuff never happened, and I'm realizing there are a lot of crazy people out there.
Yeah.
And we have another good friend of ours who was falsely accused by a girlfriend who just got pissed at him. Then she retracted her statement. She
Jesus.
retracted. She changed. Said she was lying, but they were already pressing charges and they wouldn't go back. And his life was ruined. I mean, he like lost his baseball scholarship. It was horrible. What he had to go through. Anyway, it's like this stuff does happen. And I also, but it's just, it's so sad because then there are the actual true victims who who don't get believed because of this. It's just like our society is just so messed up, y'all.
Well, Trav,
So messed up.
If you look, like with all the stuff that's happened to you, me, Craig, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, so you have to do something or you're canceled. You do something, you're canceled. You don't do something, you're canceled. You're canceled either way. You know what I mean? Eventually, everybody's gonna get canceled. You know what I mean? And I think, like what Shags was saying, I think what that guy went through, he should have got a slap on the wrist. The judge should have said, hey, you better watch what you're doing. This happens again, and have it be on his record. So if it happens again, then they throw the book at him, right? But that type of thing, don't make an example out of a mistake. Make an example out of people who do things maliciously.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is like, you had said, and like other people were saying, like the silence is violence thing. There are instances where, like, if Ashton Kutcher or if anyone in that cast witnessed something that he did and didn't say anything, that's when you can apply the silence is violence thing, because you're witnessing an egregious act happening against another human and not saying anything about it. So whether you step up to him and lay him out, or go to the police and say, hey, this guy, is doing X, Y, and Z, like, you need to speak up, because that's when people can continue to get hurt. But, it's there. You're not in trouble if you don't like comment on everything that your friends are doing. Like, it doesn't, someone I know is like, goes and does something awful. Well, I didn't have anything to do with it. Like, obviously you shouldn't have to say, apologize to victims. Like, everybody hates that stuff. There isn't one person that I know that's just like, oh, well, they had you know what I mean?
Right,
like,
right. Yeah, it goes back to the idea of, this is where the, you need to do better. You need to speak out about this. You have a platform. You're using your platform wrong.
Yeah.
It's like if let's just, if Travis was to go on and turn out to be like some vicious drug dealer who's doping, who's sending.
I used to be.
Okay. If you currently were just lending all sorts of, like, pushing pounds of meth through the streets of America, and that came out, I'd be like, should I apologize for knowing you and not knowing that about you? It's like, no, I'm not gonna. Anyways, whatever.
Well, I certainly don't live that lifestyle, so
Well,
it wouldn't be
glad you
real
don't.
apparent.
Yellow Flash came in with a 5. Thank you so much, Yellow Flash. Says, talk about the burglar in Australia who was raped to death by the homeowner guest. What are you talking about? I have not. Travis, look up the story about that. See if you can find that.
I was going to ask Shags when he comes back. Let me ask you guys, do you guys think there are levels to what he said? Like, so yes, you need to speak up when you see certain things happen, but if somebody's just saying something to somebody, I don't necessarily think you should always step in and stop that. Like if a husband and wife are fighting, there's a very thin line, like if he hits her or something, or there's abuse going on. But other than that, or somebody's like with their kids, I'm not telling somebody how to raise their kids unless it's like abuse.
Well,
so
that's
for me, there's levels of it, of when you need to speak up.
Right. I think when it gets physical is when you step in, for sure. But I just, as a parent, it's one of those things where you're like, don't tell me how to raise my kids. I'm not going to tell you to raise yours. Obviously, everybody's a product of their environment, and your kids better than they know you. But obviously, as soon as you lay a hand on them, that's where the line is crossed. So that's just me. But I know everybody's different. YouTube is censoring my comments. Says, did you just say he did bad things? Wow, pronouns trigger me. As taught me, those words are evil. Please stop using pronouns and make this a safe space. We use pronouns that make sense. You notice we didn't refer to Ashton Kutcher as they. So It's just a he. So he's a singular person. Then they came back and says, it's so funny. Tree, I'm guessing Travis, is crying about cancel culture today. Yet one of the stories today is a game publisher added the English language pronouns to the you're one of those English language persons. And people want to cancel Bethesda over it. I don't think anybody wants to cancel Bethesda over it. I haven't seen anybody talking about that like at all. And dude came in with a $1 Rumble rant. Says all the false accusation stories that come out make me afraid of joining the dating pool. As knowing my luck with people, I'll get one of those types. Right? I totally understand that. I would have no idea how to start dating if I was single and young today. I would have no idea. Zero.
The good news is these pronoun peoples are like vegans. They tell you right up front. So you could make that a quick date and head to the bathroom and never go back.
So I put that story. Let me read it. I guess a home intruder was bound, gagged, and beaten and raped in the lead up to his death at a unit in Melbourne, Outer West. A jury has been told. Clay Edward Holland is standing trial in Supreme Court of Victoria, charged with manslaughter and rape of the 39-year-old Shane Cox on March 16, 2021. He got found not guilty of the death, but guilty of the rape. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna need more about this story. I don't even know. That's crazy. Hey, but I do want to let you know that Stardust Viking has gifted 20 memberships to the channel. 20 outstanding. Stardust Viking, thank you very much. I wanted to get to that earlier, but big ups. If you got gifted a membership, make sure you say thank you to Stardust Viking.
Stardust. I got an extra ball for you today. I got 3 now. 3? I gotta learn how to juggle. That's why.
Yeah, I was gonna say you gotta better learn how to juggle there. It's ridiculous. Yellow Flash. That's just horrible. I don't even know what to think about that.
And then got not guilty.
Wow.
All right, let's move on to something a little lighter. All right. Did you guys play the Xbox 360 at all? I think a lot of people. That's probably one of my favorite consoles ever.
Broke like 3 of them.
Yeah, with the red ring of death and all that.
Yeah, I played it so much. Yep.
Desiree, did you play the 360 at all?
Yeah, I was hooked on Halo and Call of Duty, and I also got the red ring of death. I think like twice.
Did you guys ever wrap it in a towel and try to bring it back to life? Did you guys know that trick?
No.
There was a back in the day. There was this when you had the red ring of death. The idea was you'd wrap it up in a towel and essentially heat it up, and sometimes it would correct it. It was really weird. We did it like forever. I remember doing it in my apartment, and it worked. It was crazy. It was, how do you fix the red ring of death? I don't know. And we fixed it. It was great. So
usually heat and electronics, they don't go well together, but all right.
Just needed a warm hug.
Makes me think if it wasn't like the fan was caught on something, and then as it heated up, like that lubrication in there got more, not non-viscous, whatever the opposite of viscous is.
Right. So there is a new Xbox 360 toy set that is being released. It's not a Lego set. It's a new style. I guess it's called Mega, and they make like they're going to make a Xbox 360 toy set. As you can see, it's kind of put together, and so anyways, you can kind of fake having an old Xbox 360. But now it's like Lego wise. Does that interest you guys at all?
$150.
Yeah.
I'll just go pay the $20 for an Xbox 360.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point, right? You could just go ahead and get a Xbox 360 for.
Does it? Yeah. Wait, so it doesn't actually play?
No.
Or does?
No.
I don't understand then.
No, it won't actually play Xbox 360
the
games.
Stupidest thing ever.
Chat, does this interest you at all?
No, I don't know, man. It's like that's one of those products that seems like borderline predatory. It's like you're banking on people's nostalgia, and then it's just gonna sit on a shelf and collect dust. For like, I guess for hardcore collectors, it might be kind of cool, but yeah, like Trav said, I'll just go to GameStop for $20 and buy one. and or at a yard. You know how many times I see them at yard sales now, and like that pile of electronics and the rat's nest of wires. They're usually at the bottom. Like that's where you could get one for like super cheap, and it would actually be real.
I could understand if it was like a system that's like super hard to find or something. It's an Xbox 360. Go out and look at the dumpster. You'll find one. Like,
Right?
seriously.
Yeah.
All
It's
right,
a
so
lot of money
obviously
to spend on a knickknack, which
This-
is essentially what it would be.
Yeah.
people spend a lot of money on knickknacks, and it's also off-brand Lego. It's not even real Lego, so it's just kind of like
Right.
So, all right, let's go to our next story. Gearbox Entertainment, the people behind Borderlands, maker of the Tomb Raider video games, they apparently are in the process of potentially being sold for the second time in a year, in like 2 years, after I'll just share the story with you. This is exclusive from Reuters. Sweden's Embracer, that's the company who owns them now, weighs options for Borderlands maker Gearbox Studios. So they're potentially looking at selling Gearbox, which Gearbox is actually in the Dallas area. I've been to Gearbox several times. Pretty prominent game studio. They were sold most recently for like $1 billion or something, $1.4 billion. Embracer, the majority owned, purchased Gearbox February 2021 in a deal that valued the business at $1.4 billion at the time. So just about 2 years later, they're like, I think it's time to offload this.
Yeah, I'm wondering. So this to me reeks of corporate bullshit. Something that Mitt Romney used to do. So Mitt Romney, his job was to he'd put these companies in trouble, right? By buying their debt or whatever and make their stock price lower. Then he'd buy the company and sell off the assets and make a profit. That's how he got so rich. This sounds to me like they bought it. They took the assets that they want and they're trying to sell it for the same amount that they bought it for. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'd be wondering what they fucked up.
Well, apparently they're in major debt. What
the fuck were they buying shit for?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it seems like a pretty quick turnaround to buy something and then offload it 2 years later. Pretty quick. I don't know the last time we've seen something a turnaround this quick.
Yeah, I'd be curious if they already sold off other assets, like other IPs or something that they have, or something of that nature.
All right, let's move on to our lead story today. We can talk about this Deadpool thing. It's going to be good. Great. Netflix is kind of testing some, the Netflix games. We talked about that previously. Netflix games kind of coming out and testing its games on in Canada and the UK. Okay, cool. Let's talk about our lead story today. We talked about this last week with the Starfield mods. There was obviously a big raw about it, right? The pronouns aspect of Starfield that came out, and there was the big viral rant. It had tens of millions of views between Twitter and TikTok, and you got people on the right going "Rrr," and people on the left going "Rrr," and everyone's upset about pronouns or them being included or not being included, and blah 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 blah. And Dan Bask on our show was like, "Hey, I got a prediction. There's someone who's going to make a mod for it, and then it's going to be removed." And there was actually kind of a back and forth about it. The idea that I guess on Wednesday, people were like, yeah, this mod's out there, but it actually wasn't out there. It was kind of a false story. But as the week ended last week on Friday, this story actually came true. As Nexus Mods, who does a lot of the modding stuff, reportedly is banning Starfield mods that are removing pronouns from the game. So here we are, and Nostradamus is correct. He was correct once again. So here we are.
Need to get them fucking lottery numbers.
Right. So after a week of early access, Starfield was officially released, and everyone's happy, except they're not. And then somebody went in and just a very simple mod removed the pronouns from the game. And there was a lot of back and forth, and I did a little digging on this. And there was actually a mod for it that has since been removed. You can see this is the mod for Starfield, and Then someone asked about it. Here was the actual account. Says, and here's the true problem with the pronouns in Starfield. I don't care. This is from the Archcast. I'm not familiar with the Archcast, but they look like some sort of content creator. I don't care if you can be a he, she, they, them, or your majesty, but I do care about the fact that it's politically a political tool to enforce obedience. And if you disobey, you get whacked. So this was actually the response that somebody sent. And this was from one of the Nexus mods. It says, we reserve the right to host or not host whatever content we want to on our own site. We do not want to host mods that remove diversity in a video game. If that upsets you enough that you no longer want to use our site, then quite frankly, your presence will not be missed. I invite you to use your account settings page, delete account feature. Have a great day, Mike. So a very snarky response.
Who did Frost work for again?
Frost?
Yeah, who did she work for again when she did that rant?
That was G4.
Good luck.
Yeah.
That's the way you're going. Good luck. When you tell people like it or leave it, good luck.
Right.
Well,
Shags, you said you had a thought on this. And while you're doing this, by the way, while you're doing this, I'm going to let you guys talk about this. I'm actually going to begin my beard, my beard coloring. I promised I'd do it, so I'm gonna do that. I'll listen while you guys talk about this. Go crazy, Shags.
Well, I guess, but before anybody jumps down my throat about what I'm about to say, know that I, more than a lot of people in this community, actually care about the idea of compelled language and the indoctrination of kids as far as progressive gender ideology goes. But I have to ask, I guess those who are here, like, what is the difference between this and then a baker saying, I refuse service to serve, gay couples their way? Like, everyone says that they're based and that's how they should do it. They should have that right. What makes Nexus mods out of line for doing the same thing, I guess, is what it comes down to.
I think you're right. They have the right to do it. I think whether or not it goes over well is another question. I don't know. Of course. And I think that's what it comes down to too, for me, is they have the right to do that, but they also have the right to totally screw themselves as far as business goes. I don't know. Desiree, what do you think?
Oh, I completely agree. I think that private companies should have the right to do whatever they want. Well, obviously within reason, but but the response from it, we'll see. We also, as citizens, can decide whether or not we like that and want to purchase a product or not.
Yeah, the classic example recently is Bud Light.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
And that, that sort of snarky reply from Nexus Mod, we've seen people in our own community respond to people in this way when, and again, I think it just comes with, if people feel that your business is doing well anyway, or that you're providing a good product or whatever, they'll go with it. They'll continue to buy into it. But I propose the question because I think it's a fair question. If you have Nexus Mod Manager is a private business, essentially. If they don't want to serve a kind of person, like, that they don't have to, but we also as a community reserve the right to not use that anymore, based on that decision.
Yeah.
I just think it's important to be fair nowadays, because it's really easy to say, no, cancel them. Like, they can't do that. But by the same token, we're like, well, we a baker doesn't have to make a cake for a cake, like that. I just think it's important to be totally transparent and fair in that respect.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right.
Are you ready? Sorry,
I can't wait to see.
Fast?
Yeah, that was quick.
I think I did it. I don't know. I'm just looking in this one mirror here.
I can see how black it is.
No. I'm not that bad. Let's see what we got. Does it look? Oh no! I lost my. Does it look? I think it looks pretty good. Does it look fake as shit?
It doesn't look all that different.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't look that different.
Maybe I need to put more on. I'll get a little more on.
Put a little more on. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. We'll pump it up. I think it looks.
Yeah, all over your face too.
Shut up, Trav. All right. So, I think what you're saying, Shags, is actually pretty logical here, right? The idea, and way too logical for the internet. right? But I think ultimately what people will do is they'll vote with their wallets. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you what hasn't happened is, and maybe it has, maybe they have, maybe they haven't, but it's already sold 6 million copies. Like 6 million copies is like, ugh.
I thought that was active users. They might have sold more.
Well,
You
no,
know.
I think it's 6. They've sold 6 million copies.
Okay.
Right. And YouTube is censoring my comment. Says, how is this not cancel culture? You're telling people not to buy from Bethesda and celebrating a hypothetical with downfall. You're no better than left crying. At no point during this conversation, YouTube is censoring my comments, have we said not to buy from Bethesda. And at no point are we celebrating a hypothetical downfall. At 0 point during this conversation, have you heard that? Has anybody heard that?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Yeah,
So
nobody
You have
said
the
they
right
you
to
are
do
listening.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody said they
Why
deserve
can
it.
people
or
not
anything.
listen and read accurately? I mean, my goodness.
Like
Yeah, voting with
0
your
people.
wallet means it does not mean go out and stop buying from someone. It just means use your best judgment based on the information you hear and your own biases, and then either support it or don't support it. And I mean, this has been happening for forever. As long as capitalism has existed, people vote with their wallets, and they'll invest in products that they trust and brands that they trust, and then they will stop once they lose faith in those brands. So, no, we're not celebrating. I don't want any company to go under. I want people to continue to make great products and listen to their audience. But audiences will dictate the market. If it's not what they want, they're not going to buy it. And I think people should buy Starfield. I think it's a good game. That's my opinion.
I said good luck. I didn't say I hope they fail or they're gonna do great. I said good luck.
Right. This is legitimately their Bethesda's biggest launch ever. It's the biggest launch they've ever had. Sold 6 million copies in a week, right? Like no one. I haven't heard anybody say canceling. All they've done is been critical of the idea that they exist in the game. That's it, right?
Yeah.
And it goes back to why are people critical of it? And we read all sorts of responses about it, but it goes back to this. I feel like this sums it up. This is the true problem, right? I don't care about it's like people don't care about the pronouns. What they do care about is the fact that it's a political tool used to force obedience, and if you disobey, you get whacked, right? Once again, this is a perfect example of that, where a mod is out there. There's a mod that simply changes. Like you can have mods for anything. Put characters in the game. You can add breast size to players. Whatever, right? You can make the sky purple. You can do whatever you want. But as soon as you remove, the vaunted personal pronouns from the game, that crosses the line. That's when you're dangerous, right?
Yeah, I don't know much about mods, so I was going to ask, what are typical mods? Like, what are other mods that they have on there?
Just what he said.
For
Yes.
everything.
Yeah. I mean,
Anything and
so it
everything.
does seem strange that that this would be singled out, and that doesn't mean that they can't do it. But I think it is indicative of what is going on right now in the video game culture, that people get so riled up about having to be represented, and I'm sure that they felt like if they allowed it, that they would receive a huge backlash. I mean, it's hard not to think that that's probably what's going on. If they allow all these other mods, why wouldn't they allow this one?
Yeah, to me, it's
Because of intersectionality.
Yeah, when you say demand to be seen and heard, people are automatically going to be put off from that. It's like what I said the other day. So there are going to be a certain amount of people who are going to say, no, I'm going to ignore you just because you demanded it, because I don't owe you anything. So it's about how you go about things. It's like their tweet, okay? That tweet was snarky, like you said, Shags. It was snarky. There was a much better way to say that without being snarky, but they wanted to get across that you're not the type of person they want in their community. And that's the problem. They could have said it in a manner that said, hey, this is what we want to do. It's the way we want to move going forward, and not referred to the person at all.
Right. And instead, I think what they were looking for is exactly what happened was they sent this email and they're like, we're going to own them real good, and then it's going to be tweeted and we're going to have this viral moment. And look at how awesome we are because we owned them so good. This whole thing is like I said, if you feel like you need pronouns and you feel like you need people to identify you, once again, they're incredibly like, you're a narcissist. First off, right? You need to talk to me about like a certain way. And the idea of pronouns, which is the most fascinating thing about it, is that they're meant to address somebody who's not even there, right? Isn't that the whole idea behind them? The idea that if Desiree says my pronouns are beep bop, right? I would be addressing Desiree when Desiree's not with us. Is that correct? Like, that's kind of the idea.
You'd call her by her name if you're with her.
Right.
Yep.
Well, you can still be in someone's presence and still use
And
pronouns,
use it.
but
Right,
I understand
but-
what you're saying.
Normally, if everybody's there knows that person, you'd say Desiree or
Mhm.
something of that nature. You know what I mean?
Right. Shane. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just, I mean, there's a lot of different like weird comments going on around this game because like there's people like, in my opinion, like the idea of like pronouns or like trans individuals or whatever in these games like makes way more sense in these because they're like futuristic, like when I think sci-fi, I think like that's something that you would easily be able to do that far into the future. If we're able to traverse the galaxy at this kind of rate, like, but my stance on this is that this is not the battle that we need to fight. Like we've already lost the pronoun battle. If you don't realize that, you're way behind. The pronoun battle or the preferred pronoun battle has already been fought and lost on this side. Like I said, my whole battle, the real war is like, go check out James Lindsay. He's fighting it on the very front lines of progressive gender ideology and intersectionality, Marxism, and all that stuff. That's the war that we should be fighting. But I don't expect anybody to really understand that because we're in the nerd world. We're in a world that's like video games, some pop culture and everything. Like it's not easy to like really delve into. There's a lot to it. But this is like, and I hate to be the guy that says have fun with games. Like have fun because there's people praising Baldur's Gate, and that game is way more woke than Starfield, right? Like I know that Starfield's like the coffin nail that people are talking about, but like, I mean, you could look at. I know plenty of people who praise Cyberpunk, who praise Baldur's Gate, Hogwarts, like, but these games are far. And there's just been many instances in the past of characters that have been gender fluid or like have very ambiguous gender traits or whatever, and they've even said as much in them. So it's, I don't know, like it's just I think I think it's okay to be passionate about this stuff, but there's definitely a bigger thing happening that people are just kind of forgetting. This battle's done. Like this media is not going to influence people.
My whole thing is it's about it's about respect, right? Personal respect to individuals, right? And that doesn't need to be fought on some grand scale. If everybody respects individuals, if somebody asks me to call them something, I will call them that. But if they demand I call them that, I'm not going to, because I'm not going to be demanded of anything. Sorry for you.
Yep.
And like I showed something to Craig, and I was gonna bring up this video today, but I'll just tell you guys what it is. It's a poll of gay people, and they ask, are drag shows okay for kids? Half said yes, half said no. So even in our own community, right, it's half and half. Okay, so there's always people on both sides, even in the communities that we're speaking about. And I want people to keep that in mind, because just because somebody disagrees with you does not make them the enemy, and does not make them not something, and does not make them anything that you think they are because they disagree with you. They are who they are.
Yep. I agree.
It's almost like people are different, and it's okay to have different opinions on things. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah, me disagreeing with Dan or Az doesn't mean I hate them as people and they're abhorrent humans. No, like it's just
Sure it does. It means you're a horrible piece of shit sellout.
And
Well, yeah.
I think that's the distinction that our society doesn't make often enough. We demonize people because
Oh,
of their beliefs
100%.
rather than having a conversation.
Oh yeah.
Right. And there's a with us or against us mentality in this whole thing. And you know, it's funny because I have friends and who on literally both sides who are pissed at me because I'm not with them. You know, there's one way or the other way. You're either with us or you're against us. And it's like, no, I see points on your side and I see points on your side.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, I think that's kind of the craziest thing about this is, you know, we've talked about this show, and this show simply there was a really great YouTube comment that I loved this past week. And I actually sent it to
Your
my
beard
brother.
looks great, by the way.
Thanks. Appreciate that. Do I look young and nice and attractive and stuff?
No, but it looks great.
So thanks, Travis. So this is a YouTube comment this past weekend, and it said, interesting growing up with these apolitical gaming channels who traditionally only focus on games, but because they didn't go insane over the current thing, they are labeled as right extremist. Nice to see people like Craig speaking up to defend free speech, right? And I that comment really, I was like, oh, that's really nice, right? And it goes back to what we were talking about before of if you don't say something, then you're bad, you know? But then when you do say something and it's not the thing that they want you to hear, then you're really fucking bad.
Well, and just go to something that Shags just said. Maybe that's not the battle that person wants to fight that day. Maybe that's not a battle that they believe in fighting because they think there's a larger issue. So to say they're complicit in something because they don't speak up is just a fallacy.
Yeah. Well, my broader point was like people, like you could fight whatever battle you want, but quite honestly, I mean, there's pronouns or the pronoun drop downs on dozens of like applications now, digital and otherwise. And it's just, like I said, that battle is gone and done with, but that doesn't, if someone is being influenced or if someone's seeing that you can choose your pronouns in Starfield is the thing that turns them trans, you lost the battle way before that. And again, this goes way beyond, like a company will do whatever it wants, however it wants. But it's incumbent upon the parent to be present in the child's life, to start educating your kids now. If you don't have kids, be involved in school board meetings. Go there and listen to what's going on and being taught in schools. That is where you're going to start like influencing things or making a difference in this whole game. It's not to say you can't be passionate about it before chat loses their absolute mind. Like you can be passionate and think that this is important. I don't have a problem with that. But I'm telling you that like as a parent of young kids, you're going to make the difference. And the other side knows this. And that's why they're doing what they're doing a lot of times. Start talking to your kids, teach them how to think and go through the motions of questioning what's going on around them. You know, it's the only way you're going to make a difference. But if you're afraid that Baldur's Gate or a movie or a TV show is going to be the thing that causes your kid to go the other way, you've already lost. It was already too late.
I'll say this. I don't think it's a matter of if people think that's the thing. I think it may be the first thing. It's the introduction of, well, why is there a Z-zer? What is that? You know, and then then the rabbit hole begins, right? It's the first, you know, it's things that didn't exist 5 years ago, right? That a kid would be, you know, like a kid sees that, they go, what is this? And then they start going down their own rabbit hole. I think it's not a matter of it being a tipping point. It's a matter of it being an introductory
trend.
Right.
I see. I don't really care about the pronouns in the game. It doesn't bother me at all, but I do see people's point of it. And I think for me, it's one of them things that it's a very tricky issue. Like I think if I were to make a game that everybody thinks is a normal game, and then I make it a gay story and I didn't tell anybody, then I'm basically forcing people who are fans of my thing, who bought this game in advance, because they buy all my games in advance, right, to play this gay story. And I don't think that that's honest. If I want people to get the perspective of me, I will make a game of that and tell them this is what it is. This is what you can, you can go through the story and feel their struggle and all that and stuff like that. But when you don't tell people about things like that, and yes, just the pronouns, it's not a big deal, but then you also have the clone, and then you have these other things. So it adds up. It's not one thing. And so I understand why people are upset by it. Now, do I care personally? No, not really. It's not going to bother me. I don't really care. But to what Craig was saying, if a kid is trans or gay, they're going to ask those questions on their own, I think. They don't need a medium or a person to bring it up to them. They'll think about it themselves.
I have some thoughts. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
First of all, I don't think the battle is lost. Sorry. I think that it depends on what exactly you're talking about. And maybe I'm just thinking too broadly and how it extends to other areas. I have kids that are actually teenagers. So I know that they are being bombarded constantly. And I talk to them, and they are, they've got good heads on their shoulders and everything. And I credit where they are, honestly, to my parenting. I know that sounds really narcissistic, but I do think that it is hugely important. However, do not underestimate the role that peers play in these kids' lives. They also have great friends, and they are being bombarded constantly. I mean, I can't tell you how many Disney Plus TV shows have had stuff in it,
Yep.
So it's everywhere. And so parents do have a right to start getting upset about this. Now, Starfield is not for kids, and so it doesn't really apply. But what I feel like is reasonable is the reaction to somebody turning it on and like, what? Again, are you kidding me? I'm not playing this. Like, that might not be my reaction, but I think that's a totally normal reaction. And it might not be that they're actually fighting a fight, but it can feel beneficial to say no to something that feels like it's embracing this again. And it might not be to like a huge level, but still, if it still makes that person feel like they're doing something to kind of combat this, where it's just being completely normalized, I don't think that is a bad thing or not worthy to do. I'm not saying that you didn't say those exact words, but it seems a little bit like when you say the battle is just over and done with, that like it's not worth it to take it up. I do agree that there are more beneficial places to put that energy, but not everybody has time to do all that stuff too. So sometimes it is just like, I'm going to like this tweet this person said,
Yeah.
And also, can I say one more thing too? Sorry.
No.
But the trans issue is not like gay too. It has risen so astronomically. It is being, I think there are a lot of components to why it has gotten skyrocketed, but I think that the nurture versus nature argument, it is highly more nurture when it comes to the trans issue. So I'm going to disagree with what you said earlier on that, Travis.
I want to say too, like, I agree with everything you just said, everything. And this is why parenting is so hard, and why I think that everything starts with the parents being there. And like, the stronger bond that you can have with your kid, and the stronger bond you could have with your spouse or your significant other, to teach kids that sort of, to show them what healthy relationships look like. And also so they understand that they can come to you with questions. I think that's one thing that really pushes like families apart or drives the wedge, is that the parents don't have the trust of their kids. And so they don't feel comfortable going to them being like, hey, like, what is it? Like all my friends are talking about this trans issue, or like, what's going on? Like, so they don't have that bond. And I think that's so important. It's why I say all the time, like, my thing is how do we grow smart, capable, independent kids? Like, and a lot of this stuff will be worked out down the line. Not to say it's foolproof, but you certainly stand a much better chance if you can show your kids healthy relationships. You can be open and trusting with them, and let them know that you can come to them with hard questions. And even if you don't know the answer, but but there's no doubt that the social contagion part of this is something unprecedented that we have never seen. The way ideas move through social media and how much kids are on social media. Again, it comes down to you as a parent. Like, how do you balance the use this technology but don't use it too much? It's a huge balancing act when it comes to nurturing your kids and putting them in the right environments. But no, I agree with everything you said. And that's why this is such a highly nuanced thing. It's not just oh, you're a groomer, or, oh, you're an absent parent, or, oh, you're this or that. It's like, there's so many things to take into consideration. And I do agree that, like, and when I mean the battle is lost, I mean, like, the preferred pronouns thing is probably just going to be here a while, but it's just not, it's the non-issue to me. Like, it's a small factor in a much bigger problem, or it's a small symptom of a much larger problem that I think we need to debate. It's rather than cutting off the leaves of a tree, like, we need to get to the roots and find out what's really wrong with it.
Yeah, I understand that. I just think that sometimes, you might not be able to go chop down the whole tree. You might just have to just pull on the limb for the day. And I think that's what I think most people have the energy for, only pulling on limbs. I wish we could have more, arborist or whatever, whatever chops down trees.
I'm going to clarify a little bit of what I was saying. I didn't mean that, like what you said, Desiree. I meant that if somebody is really trans and somebody is really gay, they will discover that on their own without these outside influences. They don't need those. Now, they are everywhere, and it does influence children. And I think that's where the problem is. I think if a kid is actually trans, he will let his parents know, he or she or whomever will eventually let them know if they trust their parents. To Shag's point, if there's respect between them and they trust each other, they will talk about it amongst their family. But it is the outside influences that are the issue, because then it's, well, kids, they're like leaves in the wind. They blow from thing to thing, throughout their life. Are they really trans then? Or is it something that they feel they are doing because their friend is doing because everybody's talking about it? You know what I mean? Whereas if nobody were talking about it, if they really were trans and brought it up, you would know they probably are. You know what I mean?
So let's back all this back up to the Starfield thing, right? And this whole conversation started with the mods being removed that took away the pronouns, right? And people say, well, why is it so important? Well, if it wasn't, it's not a big issue. Well, if it wasn't a big issue, they wouldn't be deleting it. They wouldn't be removing the mod, right? And it wouldn't be such a major issue. And as we talk about it not being the point that tips kids over the edge, right? This is an amalgamation of a lot of different things. And when you see reports like this, where just quick, did you guys know, Travis, you're gay, you are part of the LGBTQIA plus community. How many, and this question for everybody, how many of you knew somebody who was trans growing up? You as a young kid, you knew somebody?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And I didn't know any trans people until I was an adult.
Right. Okay. So, and we've dealt with many. It's been Shags. You knew one person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the first time, for me, as an adult as well. Right.
This doesn't count. I did go to school with a hermaphrodite, I think is the correct term, a person who was born a male and female.
Right.
Yeah.
So, to put this in perspective, there's about 25 to 30 kids in a class in high school, right? And this report says 5% of young adults identify, right? So in Shagsworth, you are the exception to the rule, Shags, right? And that you knew. This is saying that in every classroom in America, there's at least one kid who identifies as trans or non-binary, right? That is that's different than gay, right? I think we all knew somebody who was gay, right?
Now, I do think the statistic will be a little skewed just because sometimes people don't know for a while either, but I do think it's pretty accurate.
Right. So I personally believe that a lot of this, they say young adults between the ages of 13 to 17, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact of social media. I've said this. I'm a big advocate of removing social media from a youth life. I think that especially when you have a brain that is developing and functioning and figuring out who you are as a person, the idea of algorithms essentially running your life and telling you, what to believe. And this person is so happier because they did this. And look at this person on vacation. They got selfies and they're on vacation. And all you see is people's best moments of their life. Ultimately, what that does is, specifically with young women, is you've seen a dramatic rise in depression, dramatic rise in mental health issues, because they are being bombarded by what they should live like, the way they should live. So once again, bringing this all the way back to the origin of this conversation of the pronouns and stuff, it's a slippery slope, and that's what people are dealing with, and that's why people are upset about it. It's a slippery slope that sends you down the slope. Maybe it's the first banana peel that has you slipping. So
I don't think any teachers or friends or parents need to go to children and say, are you gay? Are you trans? Because then the kid has to discover what those things are. If the kid is gay or trans, they'll discover that on their own.
Yeah.
Let's go read off a few of these real quick. Super chats and direct donations. Sal came in and says, California State Assembly has just passed a bill allowing parents to lose custody of their children if they refuse to accept their children's gender identity.
I was going to bring that up, actually.
He says, it's just pronouns, bro. Just comply, bro. That's what Sal says. Right. Did you want to speak to that?
How in the fuck can we live in a society where a parent is liable for a child's actions and to raise them correctly, but then and a parent gets to decide what is correctly, but then if they decide a pronoun is not for their child, they go to jail?
Well, I saw the video of this lady talking about it, and she goes, your job as parents is to affirm your children. Wrong. Your job as a parent is to parent your child, not to affirm your child. That's the most fucked up way of thinking ever. And I think anybody who says that has never had a child. You don't affirm. You can affirm that they like ice cream, right? You can affirm that it's good to eat healthy foods, or that's good to get exercise. The idea of affirming, it's well.
What if your kid wants to be called Hitler? And he wants that to be his pronoun, Hitler.
It's quite the extreme.
And well, I'm just saying, what if that's what he wants, and he wants to go to school and be called that?
I mean, hey, I guess you got to do it, right? I don't know. I'm not in California, so
I'm just now. Kids come up with some crazy shit. A kid might want to be called bitch ass, or a kid might want to be called big butt, or a kid, kids say weird shit.
Of course,
let's keep that in mind. Like,
kids are dumb.
So when a kid decides is somebody going to decide for the child what their pronoun is, and who's that going to be if not the parent? Okay. Or the kid gets to decide. And when the kid decides something that we're not allowed to say in school, then do we have to say it in school?
Well, of course, if you're in California, or you get
it just doesn't make any fucking logical sense.
I was going to bring up that California law because I think the problem with this whole Starfield thing is people aren't seeing where the other side is coming from. And this is where the side that is upset about it is coming from, as they are seeing these articles, they're seeing the path, they're seeing the road, or they have children that are this age, and they know how problematic things are right now. That doesn't mean that you hate trans people, is that you should not be pushing stuff on kids that are at an influential age that is going to impact them for their whole lives. Why is this such a hard concept for people to wrap their heads around? I really don't get it.
Well, because you're
just
being
wait.
a horrible bigot, and it's like,
I mean, why is it so awful to say just wait until you're 18 and then figure that step out? Don't do anything while you're young and influenced, and
Yeah, just love and accept your kids for who they are, and when they're adults, if they want to make that decision, love and accept them then.
Well, I think that's the argument, is that by you not accepting their pronouns, you're not loving them and accepting them as they are.
Well, and I guess the other side of this is too, did Newsom sign that law into because I guess it passed their House and Senate, and it was going to Newsom's desk for him to sign it into law. The question becomes, did he sign it into law? Because the headline comes out to say this is a new thing in California, and this is what got me into the whole politics thing. Listen, it doesn't make it good, Craig, but what I'm saying is why I got into talking about politics is misleading headlines. The headline says that the Senate and the House passed this thing and sent it to Newsom's bill. Did it get passed? If
Who
it
the
did,
fuck cares? The fact that it was even proposed is
no,
asinine.
of course, I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But there's a huge difference of it being signed into law and then it being on someone's desk.
Yeah, Shags, you're 100% right.
Even as I said that, I was like, actually, I'm not sure if this is gone, and I almost clarified that. So I'm not. You're right, because a lot of people can propose a lot of stuff too, and it doesn't get passed in.
Back when Prop 8 was going on, the gay marriage thing in California, I believe it was, the Mormon church actually put a lot of money against it and then got people confused on, well, do you vote yes for Prop 8 or no for Prop 8? For which one's yes for gay marriage? And it was actually you vote no for Prop 8 if you want to vote yes for gay marriage. And a lot of people were confused about that because of things like that. Yeah. So it's very important.
Let's go ahead and go ahead, Chax.
No, this is the final thought. Like I'm not defending the bill at all, but what I'm sick of is either side of like the news bias, just rage baiting headlines to mobilize people in a way that might not be true. Like if regardless, it's awful. But if Newsom rejects it, well, then that's based and he should reject it. But it's on the people, like the House and the Senate, like that, like they shouldn't even have been a thing. Like that, those people suck.
Hey, YouTube is censoring my comments. I grew up a Mormon, jackass.
Well, I'm
amused by him all day. Sorry.
It's okay. All right. So let me actually, let me just show this really quick. This is what this lady was saying. And I'm sorry, just as a parent, this makes no fucking sense at all. Like zero fucking sense. Like if you are irresponsible as shit, okay, this makes sense. But you're like, I hate to tell people that you're a bad parent, but if you parent this way, you're a fucking bad parent, right? You're a bad fucking parent. Here we go. This is what they said on the floor.
That parents affirm their children. They have since the dawn of time. Typically, it happens when their gender identity expression matches their biological gender. But what happens is when it doesn't, that's when the affirmation starts to wane. And that's what we're dealing with here. Although it's called the TGI bill, they're not mentioned anywhere in the law. What's mentioned in the law is the child's gender identity and expression and the parent's affirmation of that, whatever it is, because that is our duty as parents to affirm our
Can we
children.
pause this for a minute?
That's all it needs to be said. She's a fucking idiot.
I was never going to admit this online, and I'm probably going to regret it after this.
Then don't say it.
I'm going to.
Travis, you got this great new colored beard. You're looking sharp.
I'm a pretty masculine gay guy, right? When I was young, I used to dress up in women's clothes when I was a young kid. You might have thought I was trans. My parents might have thought I was trans. What if they'd have took that seriously? I'd have been a very unhappy person.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It just goes back to, and I don't know who this lady is. I'm assuming, sorry, I didn't mean to whatever. But like, that's the most asinine thing that you could possibly say. The idea that you have to affirm your child, right?
Because had I been affirmed back then by how I was acting, I'd now be a female and be very, very unhappy. I'd be a bald female.
And maybe I'm wrong. Desiree, am I wrong in this? Do you feel like you need to affirm your child's beliefs?
I mean, I don't know what affirm means to this lady, but yeah, no. So I have a friend of mine who I was having a discussion with, and she was very anorexic in high school, and her parents didn't say, "You're right, you are too fat. Let me take that food away from you, and I'm going to affirm you as an anorexic." And I know that's going to upset a lot of people, but the gender dysphoria is an actual thing. Okay, but it actually affects a very, very, very small percentage of people. and the teenage times and children, you think all kinds of things. This is you're figuring out who you are. You feel this way this day, and this day another day you got hormones going crazy and all kinds of stuff. And it's your job as a parent to set good guidelines, to be good examples. You don't need to no. The answer is no. You do not need to affirm everything that your child thinks. That's ridiculous. And anybody who's been a parent knows that.
Yeah,
I don't know if this lady's never had children or what her deal is.
I
but
think you said it perfectly. There's a small percentage of them that are actually trans kids, and like
Yes.
in my case, had they held up to all these rules, like I said, this would have happened to me personally. You know, it just had it happened to me, I would not be the person I am today, and I'm very happy being me.
I think that's the biggest thing here is you've heard over like I don't care if you're an adult. I could care you live the best life you could possibly live. But once again, we're dealing with children, and people will say Starfield's an M-rated game, right? But if you don't think that parents are like parents, they're not a lot of parents, they're not watching what their kids are playing. They're playing Call of Duty, you know, they're playing M-rated games all the time. Grand Theft Auto. Of course they're going to play Starfield.
Sometimes
right?
dress up is just dress up.
Right. But it's I just have a hard time believing that there's been such a giant increase in youth as we saw in this study. You know, the number of trans youth is twice is 5%, right, of young adults. I have a hard time believing that there's not a direct correlation between the slippery slope of, well, it's just pronouns, bro, to, hey, if you don't affirm this, we're going to take away your child. You know, like it's crazy.
Well, and
it's,
who's to say now people in DC who work for DCFS don't believe that? So if somebody who works for DCFS believes that, who's to say they're not going to take somebody's kids away because of that?
Desiree?
Well, I was about to kind of go off on a tangent, so I don't know if I even should
Go
say
ahead.
it. Well, I was just thinking as I was driving the other day about the nature versus nurture argument, and I was thinking like it seems like the pendulum has swung so far over to where people were saying everything's nature, it's all nature based, and I wonder if that's like to take away the responsibility of the nurture. And I think it's obviously nurture and nature, but I think nurture has a huge part in how humans grow up. And I don't know, it's just I don't know what made me think of that, but I feel it seems like I think that the actual people that are really born with predispositions or whatever, it's so small. And if you, like I said, unless you are really keyed in to the actual percentages or what's going on in society right now, or you have children, I think a lot of times people who are like, what's the big deal with Starfield? It's just pronouns. What's the big deal? I don't get it. They either have no children or they have really young children. And they don't understand that how crazy this has gotten right now in society and the impact that the nurture is having on children. Sorry, I don't know if I made sense. That was kind of all over the place. But
Shags, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think she's right, and I think one of the big problems, or one of the the big inflection point here, is how quickly it's like gotten to like school. So like when your kid goes to school, they're gone for 8 hours a day, and they're under someone's care. And a lot of these people are, you know, the progressive gender ideology people. I mean, not a lot maybe, but there's enough out there who are putting shit on TikTok that like you should be worried that these people are talking to your kids all day long. And if you don't already have that good relationship with your kids, it might be too late. And I think that's the issue. Like we have the ability now to like look at younger parents, or, you know, hopefully get into people who are just about to have kids or have kids that are young, that can spend time with them and build that relationship, because you only have a few solid years, and then they start deviating and going, you know, with their social group rather than their family. But that's what I mean. It's like it's such a juggle game right now, where nature is a big part of it, because I think a lot of us default to our sort of like natural gender roles, but we're seeing a lack of nurturing in families a lot of times, or things get hard and they just bail. Again, I think it goes back to like just the value of human life when people just willy-nilly like treat unborn humans as like an experiment. And I think that's a big part of why we're losing control, is that people, not to get into the abortion debate, but I think that's another thing, that like our lack of value on unborn human life has seeped into other areas, and we don't think of how important those first few years really are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you guys are both right that nurture really does matter. And for example, if you take a child and put him into a home with another child, and you treat one child as a bad child and one child as a good child, do you think the bad child's going to end up acting like a bad child? Probably, right?
Probably.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's finish this conversation with some super chats real fast. Appreciate y'all's support. As Shane came in, by the way, when we were talking about the Xbox 360, says, since we're talking about the 360, I'll pick on myself. I purchased the 360 game to play NCAA football 2013 during 2020. NCAA 14 went for crazy money on eBay. Now the series is coming back. Go Dogs. Thanks, Shane. Appreciate you, buddy. All right, Darian said, Shags, the difference between the baker and the pronouns argument is that the baker typically was basing their decision on faith and freedom or religion. And freedom of religion is enshrined in the Constitution. Matthew.
So is freedom of happiness and freedom of speech and freedom of liberty and all that. So wouldn't you think that applies?
Well, they're both private businesses. So what? I guess
that's what I mean.
Explain the issue at hand is, if the baker as a private company can do what they want, so can Nexus Mods.
Matthew came in, says, I was talking about the mental health issues with women. He says, not just women, men have seen a huge mental issue, especially when society tells us that men have to be a certain way to find a partner or be successful. Right. Mimi came in, says, medical transition is easier on adult bodies post-puberty, but then you hear stories from detransitioners. They speed kids through surgeries. Yes, I've heard countless stories like that. And once again, leave the children alone. Yeah. It's very simple. Kyle says, it's one thing if you want to lie to your kids and tell them that there are different genders. They're a different gender when they're not, but sterilizing them is irreversible. Thank you, Kyle. As GK says, there have been a few ex-trans sue their surgeons/shrinks for claiming they were manipulated into it. I believe the number will increase as the years go on. Right. And you wonder if that'll just be the cost of doing business.
Well, what is that worth too? What's your life worth to you? Because now your life's different. You got to live your whole rest of your life differently. What's that worth? Well,
for these doctors, there's lots of money, because especially with the vaginoplasty, it's like, you're a lifetime patient. You're not getting out of that. That's something that's always there. I've talked to one person who has had that surgery, and they seem totally happy and, good with their life, but they have a firm understanding of what the rest of their life looks like. But some of these kids, how could a 13-year-old or, anyone under the age of 18 really consent to what that actually means?
Yeah.
I don't think it's possible.
I've tried to tell my nieces and nephews how to grasp the concept of time, and how when you're a child, time seems to just, move so slow, but when you're an adult, it flies by, you know what I mean? And I think it's the same thing. They can't even grasp time, you know what I mean? So how could they grasp something so complex?
Yep. Right. Dude came in with a Rumble rant, says, boycotting does not equal canceling. Boycotting is telling your company they won't get my money. Canceling is telling the advertiser/sponsor to stop giving them money.
Yeah.
Right. Mail Riot came in with the $10 Rumble rant, says, showing some Rumble love. Happy Monday. The Salty Cracker interview was awesome. Thank you so much, Mail Riot. Greatly appreciate your support. Darmuth came in, says, the famous hockey player Wayne Gretzky said, always go where the puck is heading, not where the puck has been. Bearded Man is right in what he said. Yes, thank you very much. Dude says my pronouns is the full Goku scream. If you scream for a shorter period or get mad at the noise, then you're a bigot. Thank you, dude. Appreciate that.
That's pretty funny.
Diana came in and says, follow the money. Dr. S making big bank, making big bank, big pharma. Big pharma makes big bank, making patients for life with this trans garbage is kids. Homeschool and let your kids be kids. If they are gay, trans, adulthood will tell. Thank you, Diana. Appreciate that. And Darian came in and says, freedom of religion means the government can't come into your like and make a religious choice for you. That's why the baker is protected. With pronouns, there's so much protection. There's no such protection in the Constitution. Thank you, Darian. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean,
Can I say
really...
one more quick thing?
Of course you can, Travis. We're on a podcast.
So with children, why do they need to have any kind of gender surgery or anything like that, or take drugs? That's not anything they're going to be using. You see what I'm saying? So if say you're a boy and you believe you're a girl, right? And you want to dress that way, let your kid dress that way. But to give them drugs or to surgeries, that's not anything they're going to need to be using until they're an adult anyway, right? So what's the point of it?
Well, and as far as I know, like breasts or a vagina doesn't make a woman anyway, right? That I think that's been established by these ideologues, is that like that's not what makes me a woman. It's like, well, then why are you asking a child to either get breasts or get a fake vagina or a fake phallus? Like, what?
We're assuming that their life would be so different with those things. Yes, it'll make them feel more comfortable if they truly are trans, but if they aren't, then it's going to ruin their life. So how about, since they're not going to be using those things until they're an adult anyway, how about we wait until they're an adult?
I think that the thing for me that is the most pathetic thing of this whole thing is the just total gaslighting and fear mongering of like, if you don't affirm, they're going to kill themselves. That's the most pathetic and sad thing that you could possibly. Would you rather have a dead son than have a daughter or whatever it may be? It's like, that's the most fucked up emotional terrorism you could possibly have.
If you love your kid, that's not going to happen. Tell them, look, when you're an adult, I love you no matter who you choose to be, what you want to be. If that's the surgery you want to have when you're an adult, you go ahead and have it, and I'll still love you.
Yep.
Easy peasy.
Chess says, I identify as Michael Jackson. My pronouns are he, he. He, he. Thank you, Chess. Appreciate that. Nice. We got some memes. Like I said, I didn't anticipate the conversation going that way, but it did. And because I'm a parent. Desiree's a parent. Shags, you're a parent, right?
Yep.
I said the people who say it's just pronouns, bro, the vast majority of them, I would guess, I'm just guessing, live on Twitter and do not have kids, right? These are young people who have never had that experience before. And as a parent, our job is to, like, they are your legacy. You want to take your kid and you want to make your kid a better version of yourself, right? And that's I think what most parents' jobs is. They want to create a family that and their kid needs to be a better version, because at the end of the day, that's all you can do, right? No matter what you do, you have your family. And I don't know, maybe I'm speaking out of line, but I think that's probably the most important thing when it comes to all this. And the idea of the emotional gaslighting and putting your family, the emotional terrorism attached to some of the statements here that's the worst thing you can possibly do to a parent, and it's just bullshit and shitty. So when you say it's just pronouns, bro, no, it's not just pronouns, bro. That's why.
What if you're a parent and you do what that woman says and you affirm them and you give them drugs because they ask you, and then you get them the surgery, and then when they turn 25, they say, I made a mistake. Why'd you do that?
Yeah.
Well, I said, I think the only way any of this stops is the idea of
Wouldn't that be horrible as a parent?
Well, sure, of course.
Be the most horrible thing in the world.
Right, of course. Right. I mean, I don't know.
And as a final thought for me,
Sure.
like there is a side of this that is it's just pronouns, bro. But again, I think the point that I'm trying to make with people when I talk here or elsewhere is that there are places that do have compelled speech laws, and that will jail you or will fine you. And now California attempting to separate parents from their kids, like that is the battle that you fight, because that when you actually compel someone to speak a certain way, that is a violation of your First Amendment rights. That is something that needs to be taken extremely seriously. A toggle switch on a video game, like you can think it's a slippery slope, but the real issue is places like Canada, I believe Germany, and California now trying to pass these laws that truly have an effect on your life. But doesn't mean you shouldn't be passionate. Don't think so shallow of me. Like, be passionate in whatever you want. Things are a big deal to other people. To me, I just think that the battle is in the actual compelled speech.
But once again, it goes to how did you get there?
Right.
Right. It's not just overnight. They were like, well, we're going to ban everybody who does it. No. Yeah. That's not how, it's the journey to get there, which is, I think, the where most parents are. Mm-hmm. Super Cincinnati guy came in with the 499, says, Craig, looking like 2007 Screw Attack with the dye job. Let's go. Trav looking like he's about to sing All-Star.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Great discussion today. Much love to y'all. Thank you very much, Super Sentai guy. Appreciate that greatly. All right, let's go ahead and get some memes real quick as we finish up here. We have this from Extra Zero. Oh, look at this. This is nice. We have, it says, you can color Southern Creek's beard at home.
I love this.
Thank you, Extra Zero. Appreciate that. You can fill it up a little bit more, too. It needs to be filled up. Then we got this one from Extra Zero as well. It says, board game tie-ins are crazy. Oh, man.
Wow.
That's wrong.
Can we say that?
Yeah.
Yeesh, Extra Zero. That's raw, man. And then we have, where are you? And then we got this one from Extra Zero as well. It says, when Southern Creek crashed E3 2006. Oh, this is interesting. Let's see what happened on this one.
PlayStation 3 will retail for $599 US.
Did you guys play the Xbox 360 at all? I think a lot of people, that's probably one of my favorite consoles ever.
Broke.
Did you just what's the rapper's name? What is the name who did that to Taylor Swift? What's that guy's name?
Oh, Kanye.
Yeah, Kanye walk up.
Yeah.
Yo. Let me finish. The Xbox 360 is great. Let's go. Anyway. All right, let's get out of here, guys. Like I said, it was a heavy discussion today. Did not mean to get into that heavy discussion, but I think it's important for those who. Let me say this. I would like to welcome anybody who feels the opposite of that way onto the show, because if you are a just pronouns bro type of person, like, I would love to have that conversation with you, because I understand why they would say that, but I think it comes down to everybody's interaction and everyone's personal circumstance is different, and I think it's important to understand why these things shouldn't be forced into our media, in our games. So, all right. I'm going to be live over on the Side Scrollers Plays channel in just a little bit. So make sure you guys go over there and subscribe to that at Side Scrollers Plays over on YouTube. You can find Desiree where?
Twitter, Lady Desiree, Kick, Lady Desiree, Instagram, Lady Desiree 00, YouTube, Lady Desiree Piano. I've missed a few, but those are the big ones.
Nice. And Shags?
Find me on the YouTubes. I'm also I didn't mention my Rumble before. I'm on Rumble a lot. Wednesday nights, you'll find me 9 p.m. Mountain Time. Tomorrow, I'm actually talking with Adam Krigler, one-on-one on my Ready, Set, Shag podcast at 2 p.m. I'm sorry, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. That's 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you want to have a listen to a good discussion, it'll probably be much like you guys had a couple weeks ago together, but Adam's I consider Adam a friend. He's a great dude. So if you want to learn more about him, his past, and where he's going, make sure you join me there. But Twitter is the best place to find everything you need to know about me. It's like my stream of consciousness. But YouTube is where I post videos, and Rumble as well.
Way to be logical in your approach, or at least your comment. I appreciate that. There's no room on the internet for that, Shags. Zero.
No. Nope.
Go follow Travis over on Twitch, where he's working his way up to affiliate. Let's
Actually,
go
tonight. I will get it after my stream.
Let's go. Congratulations.
Yay.
Go get it. Love that. And once again, find me over on the Side Scrollers Place here in just a little bit, where I'll be playing some video games. Let's go have a good time. Quick reminder, this Thursday, I'll be live on Rumble for our music stream afterwards. I do the music appreciation streams. I want to keep talking about that all week because they are not on YouTube, only on Rumble, because we play and we listen to music, and it's so much fun. With all that said, guys, thanks so much for the conversation today. Thanks so much for the super chats, and give it up for Stardust Viking, helping us hit our goal of 20 memberships today. Absolutely spectacular. Appreciate all your supports, whether it's direct donations or super chats. With that said, I'll see you guys shortly. In the meantime, remember, people are going to try to keep you down. Don't let them. You guys got a goal. Go get it. Catch you guys later. Bye-bye.